Hello and welcome back to the Gaming Dads podcast. I am Scotch. I am here with my good friend Tharoah. How you doing, my man?
What's up?
Merry Christmas to you, sir. We're recording this the day after Christmas. I hope that your Christmas was as good as mine was.
It was awesome.
What'd you end up doing?
So we stayed at home. You know, I made a ham and all that good stuff.
There you go.
You know, Diva, aka my spouse, got me some of the best gifts I think I've ever gotten. She got me an Amazon Echo. She got me like monitor stands, and she got me this nice little massage thing for my gaming chair, so I can sit here for even more hours at a time. But yeah, it was a really good Christmas.
There you go.
What about yours?
Pretty chill. Didn't get too much. I'm not much for receiving too much, but my wife did get me the Game & Watch for the Nintendo came out with recently. It's pretty neat. It's like a nice little compact version of Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 2 as well, the Japanese version, not the American version. So
that's, Nintendo, we talked about that a little bit earlier today. Nintendo capitalizing on that nostalgia.
Of course, man. No, they're all about it now. They're all about throwing it back. So, but Christmas coming and going, New Year will be next. Unfortunately, we will be the new year will have passed when we record the next podcast. So if you're watching this after Monday and you're watching this around New Year's time, Happy New Year to you. Hopefully 2021 will be a little bit better than 2020.
We can only go up from here.
We can only go up. We're seeing kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. We started this podcast when the coronavirus kind of really started to hit off.
Yep.
And we're kind of restarting the podcast when we're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, which is nice. So,
well, we got like 3 episodes out.
Yeah.
And so this will be our 6th episode. So we've doubled our episodes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Corona.
Thank you.
But we're back into the game. Excited to be back.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happening. We're getting a lot of really good feedback on this podcast, and hopefully coming into the new year, we'll have some guests on the podcast, which will be pretty poggers, as the kids say, I guess.
Don't want to give away too much, but yeah, Tharoah's been putting in the work, as you say, and we hopefully will have someone on next week if we can get things organized together, get everything nice and tight, so that we can get them on. But yeah, just a heads up as far as that goes. Not giving away too much, but yeah, looking forward to the next podcast, getting someone on.
It's gonna be awesome, I think.
Cool.
That gives me an excuse to make a terrible teaser video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna do that. Be on the lookout for that.
But 2020 coming to an end here. A couple things I would like to go over. Before the podcast we were talking about. We're old guys. We're dads. But 20 years in gaming, from 2000 to today, I was looking at some games 20 years ago that came out in 2000. I didn't realize how good 2000 was for gaming. Just the games that came out and that sort of thing. You were in high school. I was in elementary school. But games like Crazy Taxi, year 2000. Mario Party 2, The Sims, and you look to where we are now, it's just interesting to look at.
It is, and I was thinking about it while you were talking about it earlier. I remember that feeling of those games, and we look back at them now and we're like, oh man, those games are awesome. What happened? Like in 2020, I don't think I've had that feeling for like 10 years at least.
Maybe it's because we're jaded.
Maybe so.
Because it's funny, like when you see kids, I taught middle school and high school, and you listen to kids and the way they talk. It's kind of the way they talk about the games that are coming out now is a lot like the way that we talked about the games that came out back in 2000, 2001, 2002. Yeah,
I agree.
And so I think it's part of it is that we're a little jaded. But at the same time, it's you look at those games. You're talking about the golden age of gaming, right? I mean, that's when you had the PS2, the N64, and the Xbox, the original Xbox, all were out. You had the decline of Sega around that time. You still had the Dreamcast kind of being relevant back then. But that was really the height of gaming. The Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, all that stuff, early 2000s. I don't know. And there's a bunch of games that are on this list from 2000 to 2003, all the way into 2004 that we still talk about to today. I mean, Halo 2 and Half-Life 2, World of Warcraft all came out in 2004.
Yep.
I mean, what more relevant of a list of games can you think of?
And that's the thing. Like, I was thinking about it the other day when I was scrolling through Facebook and I'm looking at like the console wars and blah blah blah. Consoles today are just not the same. Like, consoles today are just pretty much mini PCs. That's one of the things that I really looked forward to back in the early 2000s was, console exclusives and, because back then the only computer we had, because computers were very expensive. My dad had like this old Packard Bell that we used for the internet in the other room, but nothing really for gaming. So, for me, consoles were it. But now today in 2020, I don't know. I don't see the point. Maybe.
Well, and actually, you've seen kind of the end of the console wars. I mean, with Xbox Series X and PS5 coming out, it was funny. You saw both Microsoft and Sony both tweet about ending the console wars. We're gonna end the console wars. We're not gonna do this anymore, right? And I think that's partially because PC gaming has become like it's especially with Twitch. PC gaming is the way to go now. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077, that being on the PC, I think that's kind of solidified PC gaming as the way to play video games now, especially with the accessibility of computer parts, the accessibility of,
with the exception of GPUs.
Right.
That's the only thing.
The new 30s, yeah. But no, I mean, the accessibility and especially, it used to be if you were going to do PC gaming, you needed to know about PCs. And, that was DOS especially, right?
Right.
That was, I mean, we're talking way back in the day now, 80s and 90s. It wasn't until the early 2000s that you had, I remember, what was the company that had the cow logo? Oh my gosh.
Dell?
No, not Dell.
No. It wasn't Packard Bell.
It wasn't Packard Bell. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. It was one of those though. Was it? I thought it was. I don't know. Cow logo PC company. We're gonna Google that.
Gateway. Do you remember Gateway?
That's it. Yep.
Oh my gosh. So that was my first introduction to computers was a Gateway, and I mean I remember turning it on and then it taking forever to load up and then connecting to the internet and everything and all the sounds it made. Computers don't do that anymore. Computers are so much more accessible. So I think that go ahead.
I was gonna say I want to share mine. Mine was actually a Commodore 64.
Oh, there you go, man. Now we're talking old school.
And I played Popeye the Sailor Man and Ghostbusters were the two games that I had.
Yeah.
And so you turn on the computer. If you turned it on without a boot disc, it just sat there.
Yeah.
So you had to put the boot disc in, let it boot up, and then take out the boot disc, and then put in whatever game disc, and then you had to know how to actually execute that game so it would start. So I mean, you're right. It really has come a long way, but I remember in the late '90s being so excited for Nintendo 64, and I guess I just don't feel that anymore.
Yeah.
The Switch is probably the closest thing that I've felt that to here recently. Because to me, and I'm probably going to get hate for saying this, but to me, the PS5 and the Xbox are literally the same thing.
Hardware-wise, at least, they definitely are.
Right.
Without a doubt.
And that's my issue. I think I've shared this on the podcast before. I bought a PS4 for one game and then played the game, beat it, and then sold it. That was Horizon Zero Dawn, which is now available on PC.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm talking about. I mean, there's so much available on PCs. And the other thing is there's so many platforms for PCs. I mean, I talked about this 8 months ago, Epic Games, is becoming the new competitor to Steam. Humble Bundle
Right.
to a certain degree, but really it's been Steam that's kind of like cornered the PC market as far as that goes. Now you've got Epic Games here, so it's almost like you've got a console war going on between Epic Games and Steam now, and
Right.
that's kind of fueling that desire for people to have good PCs. And the other thing is, and so this is the last thing about PCs and why it's becoming a bigger thing, is YouTube and the accessibility of knowledge about PCs and PC parts and PC repair and what goes with what, right? And because of that, because the availability of knowledge, because consoles, like you said, were designed so you didn't have to do anything. It was just you plug it in, you play it, and you don't have to worry about what's in the box. It's just play the game, right? Like the N64. It's just a motherboard with a bunch of stuff on it, but you don't have to worry about it because it's all packaged for you, and all the games are designed around this thing. But because we have more knowledge now, like for instance Minecraft, right? There used to be you had to copy paste, you had to do all these things to get mods on there, and because of the accessibility of YouTube, that's so much easier now. And now I mean Skyrim, you've seen how you Minecraft Skyrim, you can get Thomas the Tank Engine to be a dragon. You can get Master Chief in Skyrim. Like, come on.
Shout out to Donkey.
So, I think the accessibility part of it has really pushed PC gaming, and that's put Microsoft. Well, Microsoft kind of on, and it's pulled Microsoft in two different directions because they're trying to sell their consoles, but they're mainly a PC, distributor, really, Microsoft, right? And then you've got Sony, who's trying to, fight against PCs. So I think you see both of them being like, let's promote console gaming again. Will you see a return to console gaming with the Xbox Series X and the PS5? I don't think so. I really don't. I think that PCs have been pushed too hard. Yeah, no. If I get the money, I might get an Xbox Series X because I'm interested in it. It looks good. I like how it looks. I like the games that are on it. But I mean,
if I got it, it would be for the wife.
Yeah, but I mean, for the most part, most of those games are on PC anyway. So, what's the trade-off? I don't know. The big thing again, like we said last week, Bethesda being bought out by Microsoft,
which is huge.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Again, it being bought out by Microsoft, it's definitely going to be on PCs. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, 20 years in gaming, man. I mean, it's been a crazy 20 years as far as I've seen a lot of development, that sort of thing. I know in the past 20 years, you and I have gotten older.
Yes,
we've become dads in the past 20 years.
Yep.
Me more recently than you. You became a dad a long time ago.
My first kid was 2005,
there
then
you
2007, then 2013, then last year.
2005. Let's see here. What was the top games in 2005? Let's take a look here.
I was playing WoW. I was playing World of Warcraft.
That was a top grossing game, but let's see here. God of War came out. Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence came out. Resident Evil 4.
I remember having a conversation with my wife while she was pregnant at the time, now my ex-wife. Because I used to go to work, come home, get on WoW, play WoW till 2 a.m., go to sleep, get up, go to work, come home, do it again. Like, that's all I did. And then the kid came along.
Right.
Like, nope, that changed.
Here's a throwback for me. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, which was on the PSP. I remember playing the crap out of that. So, I mean... But really what I want to reflect on, because, I know we talked about being dads in a podcast 8 months ago. We haven't really talked about it much. We're the Gaming Dads podcast, right?
Right.
I thought about this a lot in the past week. How do you... I mean, and you have a better understanding of this than I do, because my son's 11 months old, going to be a year old here next month. Isn't close to playing video games yet. Although I have him, sit down and watch me play video games every now and again.
Oh,
He's
heck
interested, like Animal Crossing. He loves Animal Crossing because of the pastel colors and everything like that.
Right.
I have an N64 controller dedicated to him so that he can play with that. But you have a teenager. What is it
Yes.
like to introduce a kid to video games, especially now that we're looking at 20 years of gaming, going back to all the way back to 2000? Again, Crazy Taxi, Mario Party 2, 2001 you had Halo Combat Evolved, 2002 you had Metroid Prime, Wind Waker, somewhere in there you had Super Mario Sunshine, that was in 2002. What's it like to introduce a kid to those games?
My kids have been around me gaming their entire lives. A matter of fact, as we record this podcast, my 7-year-old is playing Minecraft in the other room right now. Gaming has been a part of my house, whether it's video games, board games, it doesn't really matter. It's always been a part of what we do, and we've always integrated it into what we do as not only a cool thing to be able to do on your own, take some time to yourself, use it to think, but also fun things to do with the family, like Mario Kart. We rage at each other, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, but the thing is, for me and my family, is it's not just video games for us. It's games across the board. Every couple of weeks we play D&D. We play board games. I have a whole cabinet here full of board games and just stuff that we do. So it's kind of always just been there. And with the 7-year-old, we actually use it for her learning, for math, and because she seems to relate that a little bit better when you talk about Minecraft blocks instead of apples and oranges. But teaching kids how to be a good winner, teaching kids how to be a good loser, what does that mean? That's one of the problems that I have right now with gaming, and especially with speedrunning, is that everything is just so completely negative all the time. Runners are down on each other, runners are down on themselves. Same thing with like Call of Duty. I stopped playing Call of Duty back in Black Ops 2 because of that horrible, it's never my fault, it's the lag, it's he's head glitching, it's always something. It's
You get a 12-year-old in the background. It's safe. What are you doing?
Exactly. Well, and what I can probably relate it to most recently is this is actually, I say most recently, it's about a year ago. Lunar Jump. I was watching him, and we all know that Lunar can be very colorful when something doesn't go his way.
He's the classic rage. He's the classic rager. He's not like the what's his name?
Right, exactly.
Frame perfect. He's a rager, but
exactly.
Lunar Jump is the classic rager.
Well, and that's the thing with Lunar. In this particular stream I was watching, he was getting frustrated. This was back when he was doing Mario 64. He was getting frustrated, and he kept telling himself, no, it's not the game, it's me. I pushed the wrong button. It's not the game. It's not the game. And, like, he's having to tell himself that over and over. That's okay. I just missed that speed kick because I didn't hit the right button. And so trying to talk himself through it. And I think that, if I could build that foundation with my kids, that'll change gaming as a whole, because Kaylee, which is my 7-year-old, she gets frustrated in Minecraft, and that's where we normally take a step back. Okay, well, are you frustrated with the game? Are you frustrated with yourself? And really using that as a teachable moment. That's because gaming is going to be a part of my life till the day I die. I'll be sitting in the hospital playing like a PSP or something. It just is. My wife plays Overwatch competitively, and has for a long time. My kids are complete weebs. They love anime and gaming. So it's just integrating that into your life, and using those positive aspects, not the negative ones. And I think that too much on Twitch right now, too much in speedrunning, is it's all about the negative. Oh, this run sucks. Oh my god, I pushed the button. Well, no, obviously you didn't push the button. I mean, there are input drops, but it's not
that 100% of the time, yeah.
And that's kind of how I've integrated it. Using it to my advantage and teaching, what is a good way to game, what is a not good way to game. And the last example I give, I'm in my D&D campaign right now. I'm playing a wild mage from first edition, and basically what a wild mage is is they focus on wild magic. So that means any of their spells have a chance to go wild or have a random effect. And so we'll be in a fight and I'm doing my thing and I'll run out of spells and I can cast a particular spell where it's a spell that I try to cast another spell, but it only has a 10% chance of going off. And the crazy things that have happened is like my character is now female, turned into an orc for 12 hours, summoned random things. So like random things happen and you just kind of have to go with the flow. Like, hey, I don't know. It kind of shows my kids how to deal with those unexpected curveballs.
Well, and not to get too sentimental on the podcast, right? But I remember I was listening to you. We were talking about Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time and how you were teaching your daughter to play that, and she was going through the water temple, right? And it's it's like everyone. If you've played Ocarina of Time, you know about the water temple, and
Of course.
And you got to figure it out, right? And
That's hard.
It's really hard. And I was thinking about what you were saying, how you were you're telling your daughter, you've got to figure it out. You've got to figure it out. And I was thinking about that, and I think as a dad, I relate that to like my son bumping his head. You want to protect him from bumping his head. I call my son my big guy. So if I ever say my big guy, that's who I'm referring to. But he's you want to protect him, you want to make it easy for him, but at the same time you want him to learn. So I gotta let him bump his head. I have to, because otherwise he's not gonna learn. Hey, if I stand up underneath the table, I'm gonna whack my head, and I need to be careful there. So. He's 11 months old, so I mean, obviously you got to be a little bit more careful. When he's like 2 years old, maybe I can be less careful with him because
of course
he's bigger. But regardless, I just remember I took that to heart, what you were saying about Ocarina of Time and just letting them learn and guiding them through that. And it's something that's really neat with video games is that it teaches you to try again. Game over isn't just game over, right? The game does. I mean, it used to be, way back in the day. It used to be, I gotta pop in another coin, and if I don't have another coin, well, I'm done. Well, now, game over isn't just game over, and even like
try it again.
Yeah, you just try it again, and you figure it out, and you see what works, you see what doesn't work, and it's gotten even more instant now, where like with respawns, like Portal, for instance, right? When you die in Portal, all you gotta do is click the mouse really quick, and you're back at the start of the level. So it's really interesting to have that kind of it's a tool. It really is a tool, and I think that it's underutilized. Really,
it is. And for me,
across the board,
like, in the age of Google, it's so easy to just Google whatever that answer is. And so anybody who comes to, like, last night I was playing A Link to the Past, which I haven't played since the mid '90s, and I'm trying to figure out things, and I don't allow people to tell me unless I ask, but 9 times out of 10 it's just me running around a temple or doing something to try to figure out, because it's beatable. I know it's beatable. I just need to figure out the correct way to do it, and that's part of the fun in games. Like I didn't have that. I didn't have that at all. The most that we had when I was a kid growing up was on the back of the Blockbuster box. When you rent the game, you may have a couple of hints. But that was it. There was no Google. There was no Ask Jeeves. There was no any of that. You had to either do it or wait till the new issue of Nintendo Power came out to try to figure it out, or somebody at school figured it out. And that's what I enjoy about gaming. With me, it frustrates me that I'll watch a Let's Play of a particular game, and the first thing they do is Google. For me, right now I'm in Breath of the Wild. I'm in that camel dungeon. I'm at the boss right now, and that boss is dumb. I hate that boss.
Yeah, I remember playing that one for the first time. Yeah.
So I've spent multiple hours like trying it and figuring it out, and you know, I get frustrated. So what do I do when I'm frustrated? I take a step back, I turn off the game, I put something else on, and I come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because that's how you do it. You know, today, like GameFAQs.com, which I'm pretty sure still exists. GameFAQs, not giving them free publicity, but GameFAQs, I guess it's owned by GameSpot now, was a forum for the longest where people could share like cheats and reviews, and yeah, it's still the old forum board, which is kind of cool. But so many people are quick to just go and look up, you know, how to cheat, how to do these things. Now, if you're looking up, you beat Grand Theft Auto and you want to go look up the infinite ammo cheat,
Yeah.
go ahead. Who cares? But give the game a chance, because to me, every game is a story.
Mm-hmm.
Every game is. I know we talked about speedrunning as an art, but every game literally is someone's creation that they want you to go through. And so just Googling it, you might as well, instead of reading a book, just kind of Google a synopsis and then be done.
Yeah.
You take away the fun, I think.
I think, well, and one of the things that I miss about video games from when I was a kid, something that I want to make sure to pass on to my son, is teamwork. Teamwork, and then you mentioned it earlier already, is learning how to lose gracefully.
Right.
Because I remember I grew up playing Mario Kart 64 and playing with my uncles, and I got destroyed constantly playing Mario Kart 64 with my uncles, and that taught me how to lose. That taught me how to get better, because I was playing against guys who were 20 years older than me, who were much better at video games and much more coordinated than I was.
Right.
And that taught me how to lose gracefully. But also, it taught me how to play with other people.
Right.
I don't think you have that enough anymore. It's especially with things like battle royales, where it's all about how good am I at games. Call of Duty very much pushed this. You have a little bit of the teamwork aspect to it, but most of the time it's, well, I need to play with someone else who's also good in their own right. It's not necessarily about how do we play together, as a team. We might suck, in our own right, but together we work really well as a team. The game that I'm thinking of off the top of my head is Gauntlet Legends. I remember going after school, going over to my friend's house. It was me, the two of them, and then their dad. We would play Gauntlet Legends, and we played the whole game. And I was definitely the worst out of the four of them, but together in the boss battles, we worked great. Because what I would do is I would scamper around. I'd kind of be the distraction because I wasn't very accurate, and they could just pod shot the boss. So I just ran around all day, and it was awesome. So I was very low level in comparison to them, but we worked well together as a team. I don't think you have that enough today. You really don't, because it's all online. And again, the first-person shooter thing is really kind of pushed the furthest forward now. I think you're starting to see a movement away from that, which is nice, but it's still very much about the individual, not so much about the team, which I wish I really want to see more of here in the next couple of years.
And that's why I'm not a huge fan of like fighting games. I mean, I like playing Smash with my friends and family, but to watch it, like, there's so many. You can look right now. Go to YouTube and Google Smash rage moments and Smash cringe compilations, and you see people throwing their controller and yelling at each other, and I'm like, that's not fun. That's not fun at all. So over probably the past 10 years, I've stepped away more from those fighting type games in the competitive world, I guess, because I used to play Soul Calibur 2 in the arcade competitively. This is back in probably 2003, 2004. But we kind of circled around to that negativity, that lack of teamwork. That's why I love playing. I don't know if you've ever played. What was that game? There's House of the Dead is one of them. It's a shooter game in the arcade where you have a pedal where you come out of cover, and that's a teamwork based game. Like, so I really started enjoying those a little bit more, and I think that's why I ended up going to speedrunning, is to get away from that. I played a lot of Call of Duty. There's even Overwatch before I started streaming. There is a clip out there, and I may have discussed this on the podcast before. There's a clip out there where my wife and I are actually arguing on stream in the middle of an Overwatch match in front of like 70,000 people.
That's like my favorite clip that you've ever sent me. It's just
it is. So taking
it's
a step back from that,
it's marriage in a nutshell. Really, that's
it really
what
is.
that is.
And so, my wife still plays Overwatch to this day, like I said, but we don't play together just because of that aspect. Like it, and that's why I found such a love in speedrunning.
Ultra competitive, right? Yeah.
Speedrunning, I can speedrun for me. I'm beating myself. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So if I run slower, I have no one to blame but myself. And I can also tell myself, hey, guess what? You did this once, you can do it again. So I just wish that gaming was more like that today. It's there's a lot of like Facebook groups that I've left on Facebook in particular, like gaming groups that started out like, hey guys, check out this new game I got, and hey, look at this cool thing I found, to random, going back and forth, not really sure how to describe it, I guess. Saying, oh yeah, Xbox is better than PlayStation, and oh, you only have a $2,000 computer, I've got a 65-inch 4K. Shut up, please, just shut the hell up. Nobody cares what you have. Enjoy what you have. So I ended up separating myself from a lot of those Facebook groups. But speaking of Facebook groups, I just want to plug it really quick. There is a Gaming Dads Podcast Facebook group that we've been getting some conversation on. So yeah, if you're not on that, get
in there. Yeah, no, and just to kind of cap it out, as a dad, I think there's a lot of things that, especially with me having a son, right?
Right.
It's passing down all this stuff that, from your childhood down to your son, and for you, your kids, right? And like I started recollecting Pokemon cards because I remember as a kid, collecting Pokemon cards and just really enjoying it. I never played. I didn't really play the game ever because I didn't like it that much. I played Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right.
And that's something I'm trying to work on, like getting decks together for Yu-Gi-Oh, so that when my son can play, he'll be able to play. And that's another great thing to teach them math, right? Because you start off with 8,000 points, and you got to figure out, okay, what's 400 minus 8,000, that sort of thing, right? So you can teach them math early with that. But
right.
I remember collecting Pokemon cards and just learning to be careful with things, and to enjoy things, and to not be overly zealous about them, obviously, but how to take care of things, how to manage things. You get a particular card, you got to sleeve it, you got to be careful with it, be gentle with it, and kind of honor it in a certain way. Not to a religious degree or anything, but just like, being careful and cherishing something, and being able to teach that kind of thing to my son I think is going to be neat. So anyway,
I agree.
Yeah. Moving on though, so going back to 2020 just being an awful year, right? It's just been a terrible year, I think, for everyone. Everyone can agree, 2020, we just leave 2020 as a year behind. Move forward to 2021. Hopefully things will get better. Are things going to get better? I don't know. You talk about politics in America right now. It's not looking great, but it's not. I mean, whether you're on the right and the left, I think that you're going to be mad no matter what happens in 2021, as far as that goes. So trying to move away from that. And along with moving away from 2020, we're going to leave some stuff in 2020 in gaming.
Yes.
So I thought I would challenge you, Tharoah, and I challenged myself to come up with 3 things for each of us. And we'll just go back and forth. Things that we're going to leave in 2020. So if you want to kick it off.
All right. So for me, I think my first one, you kind of brought it up a little bit, politics and gaming. Just leave it out, man. It goes, Ricky Gervais had a speech at the Golden Globes in the last year, which basically told entertainers to, hey, you have no clue what's going on, just shut your mouth and entertain. And it's kind of the same thing in gaming. Like for me, gaming is like a safe space away from the real world for a little bit. So it really sucks to go into a stream and, I'm really pumped up to see some, Batman on the NES, and I'm listening to politics. People that know me personally know that I am passionate about politics, but I think that there's a place for that. Like, make gaming our safe haven. There's no reason to put politics in every aspect of your life, because it is weird in the U.S. right now. It's I'm a libertarian, so I'm not Republican or Democrat. So it's just very, very unique in the United States right now. And it really sucks to have to, have friends on Twitter say that they advocate for things like civil war, and they've never experienced war. I have personally 3 combat deployments, and trust me, that's not something you want.
Right.
So I think leaving politics out of gaming in 2021, making it about the games, making it about the people, making it about the communities and the groups is really what I see.
So for me, the first thing I'm going to leave in 2020 is going to be Super Mario All-Stars.
Really?
I'm going to get a ton of hate for this, but I need to explain. I need to explain why.
Explain yourself.
Super Mario, the 3D All-Stars. Now, I'm not talking about the SNES version of Super Mario All-Stars. I'm talking about the 3D All-Stars that we got on the Switch here a couple months ago. Here's why we need to leave that in 2020. I think that, Nintendo is riding on nostalgia. We talked about that earlier, with the Game & Watch coming out. I think the Game & Watch is great. It's very nostalgic, and the revamp and the new way of presenting it is really cool. With that being said, I think that Nintendo in particular is, and really this is my bigger point, is that Nintendo is riding nostalgia a little too hard. And they're not presenting anything really great that's new. We got Breath of the Wild, you had Super Mario Odyssey, and nothing really else. Those are the 2 big things. It used to be you got like something big out of Nintendo every year. That was just amazing, and you haven't really had anything incredible out of Super Mario, out of Nintendo, in a while. They keep, we had that Zelda thing that came out recently that was kind of like a combat base. It was just all combat.
Age of Calamity.
There we go, Age of Calamity. Yeah, but they've been teasing Breath of the Wild 2 forever. You had Smash, which was good. But you still don't have a dedicated Mario Kart game for the Switch, and every single console for Nintendo has had a dedicated Mario Kart. So you just like, where is that at? So and then you had the Super Mario Bros. Battle Royale thing, but again, that's a nostalgic thing, and on top of the fact that's kind of stealing from something that someone created. We talked about that in the last podcast. Moving on from that, but. Yeah, and my biggest thing is Shendo Edition for Super Mario 64. Really, like, I get it's the newer version. It has the least number of bugs, but it's the least, in my opinion, genuine version of Super Mario 64. And it's ports. They didn't do anything new with it. It was just they ported the game and they sold it. And that's, again, the whole nostalgia thing.
And that's fair. I mean, for me personally, like I said, Nintendo has their demographic. It is not speedrunners. It is not you. It is not me. Like Mario Kart. If I'm sitting up at Nintendo and I'm seeing Mario Kart 8 is still selling, why in the heck would I create a new Mario Kart? There's no reason. Same thing. Same reason why Rockstar has been riding the GTA 5 train for what, like 7 years or something ridiculous.
And they're teasing 6.
And exactly. So I mean, they're still making money, and I think that's kind of how I ground myself with Nintendo specifically, is knowing that I'm not in their demographic. So like Super Mario All-Stars was not it was nostalgic, but it was not to play to the older crowd like me who played it as a kid. It's to play to the 12 and 13-year-olds who have never been exposed to it. Hey mom, I got this got 3 Mario games in one. Yeah, great. So I get that. Mom's not gonna know any different. Like,
right.
Whatever. So I don't know. That's kind of my take on All Stars. I think my next thing that I think needs to be abandoned in 2021 are these big YouTube stars that are spending $200,000 on a bunch of Pokemon cards and
Oh dear
opening them up on
God.
stream.
It hurts my
Like,
heart. It hurts
does.
my heart so bad. Cause
You
yeah.
know, because there's nothing that I want to see on my day off than watching a bunch of rich people open up Pokemon cards. That's what I want to do. But people are watching it, you know, so I can't really fault that. But I'm just come on with some actual content that's not based on the amount of money that you have. You know, I really liked some of the big streamers did some Christmas streams, which were really nice, where they took the money that they've earned, and Ludwig was one of them. I actually tuned in for a couple hours on Ludwig's stream, where Ludwig went in and you had to put what your Amazon wish list was, and he would pick someone at random, and then he would say, all right, chat, we're putting up a poll. You have to get it to 50-50. It has to be 50-50, and I'll buy everything on their list. And so him spending money on his viewers was really cool, and I really like that. Now, if you want to do something like that, great. That's awesome. I mean, I think there were like 40,000 people in the stream, so you couldn't read chat. But it was really interesting because even if they didn't get 50-50, he was giving people the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
And so I like that. You want to do something with your money, give back to the people that have given you that money to begin with. You know, I don't know. I guess I just don't get any enjoyment out of watching someone else open blister packs.
Well, and Max Mofo really modernized that. He pushed that really far forward, and he did that way before anyone else was doing it. But I think he doesn't do it in a way where it's like shove it in your face how much money I have, because he only opens up as many packs as he gets in the box, right?
Right.
Whereas now you've got people buying. I'm gonna go out and buy 100 booster packs. Or I'm gonna buy the Champions Gate, like the $66 box that has the Charizard in it. You have people buying. I'm going out to Target and buying 20 of them, and I'm like, okay, we get it. Or I'm buying $1,000 worth of Pokemon packs.
Right.
My thing for it is, you're buying the whole store's worth of Pokemon packs. What if you have 10-year-old Jimmy who's going there to buy one pack? He can't buy the one pack he wants. Or Christmas, right? He's got $100. He can buy Champions Gate, right? He can't buy it now because everyone's bought it. Which for me, that's kind of like pulling. You're taking away from the community more than you're giving to the community, in my opinion. But
I agree. I want to see content that's not based upon
how much you're worth.
Yeah, show me content. Show me something with some sort of substance. Show me skill. Show me those types of things, not just mindless. I guess that's what sells on YouTube.
Or make it informative, at least, like Max Mofo does. He makes it really interesting and informative. He has fun with it. But a lot of these guys, it's just about it's just about money.
Exactly.
So
yeah, let's get rid of that for 2020.
In the same vein as idolizing how much money these Pokemon card opening people have, we need to leave idolizing speedrunners. I'm sorry, like 2020 has shown me that idolizing Twitch streamers and speedrunners in particular has been nothing but awful. You had the giant. We never commented on it, and because we kind of fell into that period where we stopped doing the podcast. But you had the big sex scandals coming out within the speedrunning community, as well as within the Melee and that community, right? And it was absolutely awful. And it was 100% because we were idolizing these speedrunners and these Twitch streamers, and they were taking advantage of their viewers. Awful experience. Dream, right? You had the whole Dream thing that happened. Back when we first started the podcast, you had the SMO thing that happened. And these communities being weaponized, like we said earlier, and used because they idolize these speedrunners in such a big way. They're normal people, and most of them are kids. They're I mean, and if you're 22 years old and you're like, I'm not a kid, I'm sorry, I'm 28 years old. You're a kid. When I was 22, I was still a kid. You should not be idolizing these people to the degree that you are, because they're not built for that. That's the reason why like movie stars, rock stars. You know, I saw Shaquille O'Neal. He was talking. Yeah, I was watching ESPN. He was talking about how when he got his first paycheck, he had someone teach him not to just blast his money. They have people around them teaching them how to be famous. You don't have that with speedrunners. You don't have that with Twitch streamers. That's why you see what's happening around them, because they don't have people telling them, hey, this is how you do this. This is how you deal with this. You know?
And I think my only point with that is, there's a particular group that I was a part of when I'm talking within the first 1,000 subscribers. You know, I got to know there's 5 content creators in this group. I'm not going to shout them out, but because that's not what it's about for them. But they're currently sitting at 2.05 million subs. They'll make a couple $1,000s a stream. They stream on Thursdays, but they rarely, if ever, show their faces. They want their content, their storytelling to be what people really enjoy. And some of the old hats like myself kind of get together and we'll go into the stream and just say hello. And you know, people will second guess us, like, oh, who are you? We've never seen you before, even though the content creators are like talking to us like, hey, long time no see. And because they worship these people. And I remember when these people were, you know, in the back room trying to edit a video to get it up in time, and now they've got a production staff.
It's like the garage stories.
Exactly. Yeah. But you know, some people handle it well, some don't. I will shout out Trimming, who's actually a commentator here on YouTube. That he picks random topics to be able to talk about. Really informative, very unapologetic how he approaches these topics. But he's experienced incredible growth. A year and a half ago, he had 2,000 subscribers. He's sitting at over 1 million right now. Never shown his face. He really wants his content to stand on its own. He doesn't want it to be about him, and I like that. There's no reason to worship these folks, guys. You know, I think that the magic formula for Twitch and YouTube and any of these social things, there's some content requirements there. You have to provide a decent content, I guess, but there's plenty of YouTubers out there that have 50 followers that produce great content. A lot of it is just falling into the right place at the right time. You know, we see that across the board between YouTube, between TikTok, between Twitch, between you know, Charlie Brown, the guy who made that cheating video. I was talking to him the other day. His YouTube channel has blown up. He's gotten 18,000 subscribers in the last 2 weeks. One video has 2.5 million views. It's his only video he's got posted. So, you know, I think you're right. There's not really an organization out there, a PR firm saying, hey, you got to do this. Hey, keep your mouth shut on this. So I think that's why a lot of content creators just run their content into the ground. Is because of that. Yeah,
and I'm not saying don't follow people, don't buy into who a person is or a personality or anything. I'm just saying they're normal people, just like you and I are, and we don't need to put them on a pedestal.
Exactly. And I agree.
And there are many big streamers who I've personally come in contact with who do it well. I've seen a lot do it horribly, though, and it turns out very bad. So, anyway, moving on.
Agree.
Moving on.
I agree. And for me, my, I guess, last one is unorganized speedrunning tournaments. We talked about speedrunning tournaments, and tournaments within the communities are great things. They help bring the community together and all that good stuff. But, oh my God, if you don't want to put in the time and effort to have something that's organized, well laid out, and communicated very well, don't do it. You know, we've had issues recently where community organizers just kind of like, meh, it'll come together at the last second. Runners don't know what's going on. Guys, that makes these speedrunning tournaments look bad. If you're not going to dedicate the time to make layouts, if you're not going to dedicate the time to correctly seed a tournament, or come up with what the rules are before you even accept that first entry into the tournament, don't do it. I'll help you out. Just message me. Add me on Twitter, @Tharoah. Message me. I'll help you out. and we'll do a little test and see if that's something you're ready
Either
for.
one of
and that's
us.
what you're good for or not. Yeah, exactly.
We're here to help.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been through it.
You know,
We know
'cause,
how it works.
you know, Scotch and I kind of got our start, met on GSA, the Global Speedrun Association, doing commentary through them, and GSA has been a great organization. It in the beginning it was not. It had its faults. It had its issues. Um, you know, so all I'm saying is if you're interested in hosting a tournament, that's great. That's such a good thing. But dedicate the time to it. Don't just expect it to just fall together. Don't say, "Hey, I'm going to make a bracket," and we're done.
Well,
I think one of the more organized tournaments. I know CCG has been doing quite a few here recently. But BDEF 100 does the Club 100. I think they're on season 3 right now, and BDEF, he does it all by himself. He does a great job. He's stepped back from running Mario just to run tournaments, and I'm really proud of the progress that BDEF has made. So yeah, shout outs to BDEF.
well,
But,
and on the flip side of that, if you're gonna make it flippant, make it flippant. You know what I mean? Don't promote it as this organized thing and then not
Right.
do the Cringe. I don't know if anyone knows about Cringe. No one. The what is it? The satire speedrunning team.
Yes.
Cringe. They did the all coins tournament. You know, and then they did
Yes.
the all signs. You know, it's Simply did the all signs, but they did the all coins. And it was flippant. It was just thrown together. It was just for fun, and you know,
Exactly. That's different.
that's fine. You know, if you're gonna do it that way, do it that way. And it was a meme because it was a meme. But if you're gonna promote it as this, we're gonna organize it. We're gonna have a formalized tournament, and then if you're gonna, I've been shafted before in the past as far as this goes. If you're gonna have someone on there, keep them on there and give them the spot. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I've seen too many people
Agreed.
get shafted. I know you've been shafted. We're not going to go into who or what it was or whatever. We're not going to go into that. But all we're saying is if you're going to give someone an opportunity, give them the opportunity and don't shaft them at the last minute. That's all I'm
Agreed.
saying.
And the last thing I'll say on this is if you're going to have a rule set, please follow that rule set.
Yep.
Don't change it right before the tournament starts. That's ridiculous. You know, if I'm wanting to be involved in a tournament, I'm wanting to be involved based upon the rules that you put out there, not because they've changed 80,000 times because of one thing or another. You know, do your research, do your homework, decide how you want to run your tournament, and run it that way. Just be consistent. If you tell me, like Scotch just said, if you tell me it's a flippant thing, then cool, that's fine. It's gonna be a meme. I'm happy for that. I'm excited for that. But if you're gonna host something serious and then change the rules 8 times and then seed really weird, I'm probably not gonna be a part of your event much longer.
Right. And the last thing for me that needs to be put away in 2020, Fortnite.
Please God.
Just put okay, and Fortnite, how it was when it first came out, was incredible. It was amazing. I don't mind the competitive nature of it. It's intended to be super competitive. Do I think it's a little sweaty? Yes. I personally am not very good at first-person shooters, so because people are so sweaty on that game, it's not fun for me, so I don't play it, and that's purely because I'm not good at first-person shooters. It's the reason why I don't play Call of Duty a whole lot. I love Call of Duty, like I like the storylines, like Black Ops, Modern Warfare 2. Great stories, great games. Single player wise, I don't play the multiplayer because I'm not good at first person shooters. But Fortnite has become this thing. It's been overblown. I've seen too many competitive people actually walk away from playing Fortnite. There's a famous clip of 2 guys who won a tournament who said, "Yeah, we're not going to play Fortnite anymore." And they actually blasted Epic Games for the way that they've managed it. I think that Fortnite needs to be put away. Fall Guys is a new competitive thing, which I think is really, really cool. Among Us has become a big thing. Going to talk about that a little bit more later. But Fortnite by itself, that needs to go away when we go into 2021.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but cool. And now flipping from the bad to the good, Tharoah, I challenged you to come up with your top 5 games of 2020. I want to hear them. I want to hear your top 5, man.
All right. So I'm going to start from 5 and go down. So 5, Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition re-released this year in October. Oh my god. Those that know me personally know that I love RTS. I love real-time strategy across the board. I don't care what it is. I love the Command and Conquer series. My absolute favorite RTS is a game called Empire Earth. Age of Empires gives me the closest thing to that. They re-released it. They did a great job at it. Period. End of story. Number 4 for me, Call of Duty Warzone. We talked about first-person shooters. I enjoyed this one because it was, especially being in a squad with my buddies, it was fun. It was something different, and it was free. They followed that Fortnite model. They gave that section free, so it was a lot of fun, and a lot of the goofy stuff that we would do that really created, I don't know, my 2020. Number 3 is a game that I've been streaming here recently more often. Phasmophobia, designed in the Unity engine by 2 guys. It's taken the internet by storm. I know it's won some awards here recently with Steam. It's currently nominated for Game of the Year, I believe, with Steam, or VR Game of the Year. I love games that put me into the game and make me feel what the protagonist is feeling, and that's what you feel in that game. You're genuinely scared. The only criticism I have about the game is the replayability. Once you have 300 hours in the game, it's not as scary anymore. But I've really enjoyed playing that with friends and kind of reconnecting with people over Phasmophobia. Number 2, Animal Crossing, a game I thought I would never buy. Was convinced by Triforce DK. Everybody was playing it. It was a great way to pass the time. I've never time traveled in that game. I literally just wake up, do the things I did for that day, and it was fun to pass the time. So I really enjoyed Animal Crossing. My family really enjoyed Animal Crossing. Something that I was able to bond with my daughter over when we lived in New Orleans, where she would get up with me and just watch me play Animal Crossing that morning to see what was happening on my island. And number 1 for me is a game that has received some criticism. But it's been a really long time since I've binged a game and beat a game in 3 days because I just wanted to keep turning on my console and playing, or turning on my PC and playing. And it's sitting in my hands right now. It's Paper Mario: The Origami King. I loved the game. There's a really sad part in the game where I was like, no. After a particular character pissed me off for like 6 hours, and then something happens, and then it's a good game. People didn't like the combat. Whatever. The story was great. I really enjoyed the game. It was something unique, and I think Nintendo really hit a home run with Paper Mario: Origami King, to the point of I would love to speedrun it, but I don't have 7 hours to do a speedrun. But it's one of the games over the past couple of years that I've actually 100%ed because I wanted to see and experience every aspect of the game. And as a matter of fact, I may be doing that on stream here because there's a couple of viewers that showed interest in wanting to watch me play the game for the story. So I may do that and replay through and kind of see things that I may have missed. But yeah, number 1, Paper Mario: The Origami King.
Well, just to go over your list a second here, I want to highlight 2 in particular, Phasmophobia. I think it's really interesting taking horror and making that multiplayer, especially the
it
whole
is really cool
kind of VR aspect to it. I think that VR is really pushing everything forward. But I mean, how many multiplayer horror games can you think of? I can't think of any. Yeah, I can't think of any at all. So taking this and then moving it into a multiplayer arena is really, I thought that was really interesting. Not in my personal top 5, but definitely interesting. And then I want to talk about Paper Mario just for a moment because, like you said, it got a lot of criticism. I haven't played it myself. I've seen gameplay of it. It looks fun. It looks interesting. It looks funny. It looks like it's pulling from, again, a little bit of nostalgia here, pulling from Paper Mario, Paper Mario: A Thousand Year Door, and bringing that into the Switch era. How do you think they having played it, how well do you think that Nintendo did that?
I think they did it really well. They created a new story. Still playing on those nostalgic heartstrings a little bit, but they created a new story and bringing an extra dimension to a 2D game to Paper Mario. I mean, it's paper, it's 2D. but bringing that origami aspect to it is really, really cool. The game mechanics work really well. It's not overbearing. Like, sometimes games and sequels come out and they add a new aspect to the game because they want the game to be different, and it's really kind of overbearing. But in the Origami King, it is not. I really, both the gameplay and the story, I would give it 10 out of 10. I enjoyed it. Like I said, first game I've 100%ed because I wanted to, not because I said, all right, I guess I'm just going to 100% this.
Right. Well, on to my top 5. I'll start from number 5 as well.
Right.
First game, My Friend Pedro.
I've heard of this.
Devolver Digital has been doing incredible things. Their showcase that they did, so with E3 being canceled, they actually developed a game that promoted all of the games that they were coming out with. It was the first time I saw Fall Guys. I think they literally made a video game to promote their video games, which I thought was genius. And I 100%ed it. I wanted to get all the trophies and everything, so I went and 100%ed that game, and it was free. And it's still sitting on my Steam library, which is incredible. I think it was genius. I think it's genius what they're doing. My Friend Pedro. It's a fun pick up, put down game. I think you need more games like that nowadays. You need more games that you can just pick up, put down real quick. Because too many games nowadays are just these long games. Days you're playing these, right? These massive scale games like Cyberpunk 2077. We talked about it last week. It's this huge, massive game with all this stuff to do. But I think that we need more of these games that you can just pick up, put down. And My Friend Pedro is exactly that. It's funny where it needs to be funny. It's serious where it needs to be serious. It's ridiculous where it needs to be ridiculous. It's perfect in all those ways.
That's awesome.
My number 4 is Microsoft Flight 2020. I think that this has been in development for a very long time. You've had a lot of very generic simulators, that are just your yearly simulator that you put out, kind of like Madden or FIFA, right? They just pump out a game. They might have a couple new mechanics, a couple new mini games, whatever. But generally speaking, it's the same game. Same thing in the simulator world. That's the reason why no one plays simulators, really. Train simulator, it's the same thing. Farming simulator, that's the giant meme. It's the same thing. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, they really made something amazing here. The graphics are incredible. Them working on a real time. You have to be connected to the Wi-Fi, to get the real experience, because it uploads based off of GPS and actual satellite photographs. The realism within it is incredible. Me being a giant flight nut, I know you are too. I think if you're into flight simulators, if you're into flying, this is the game for you. And I think that this is pushing simulators. They put the gas pedal on how simulators need to be, and I think it's going to bring in a new wave of simulators. And I think that the hype that it brought on Twitch, sure, it lasted only so long. I think everyone knew that it was only going to last about a month, that hype. But it was hyped up in a big way, and it introduced people to a new way of gaming. Number 3 is for me is Among Us. I remember playing Mafia when I was a kid. Going on the church trips, we used to play Mafia all the time. If you never played Mafia, it's the real life version of Among Us, where you take a deck of cards. If you were a face card, you were a part of the Mafia. If you were this card, you were a medic. If you were this card, you were the police, and everyone had their different roles, or otherwise you were a citizen. And it was the same basic thing. Figure out who the Mafia is, get them out of the town. Once all the Mafia are out of the town, the citizens win. If there are more Mafia than citizens of the town, the Mafia win. That's just taking that into the video game world, and I think it's bringing people together. It's fun, it's interesting, it's simple, and my biggest selling part, this is the thing about video games that I hate nowadays because I'm poor. It's $4. It's a $4 game that you can get on Steam, and I'm pretty sure it's free on mobile. But it's cheap, it's inexpensive, and it's fun, and it's multiplayer, and it's teamwork. It's all of these things that we were talking about earlier. and this one very simple game. And I think that they're moving in the right direction with it. They've added some new mechanics to it that I think are very, very good and are good for gaming. My number 2, same as you, Animal Crossing. It's just, it's taking that old original Animal Crossing game, putting it on the Switch, making it interesting. I think that there are a couple of negative things that they've done with it, such as, every Switch can only have one island. I think that's really, really dumb. But, everything that they've done with it so far, very interesting, very fun, very unique, extremely wholesome, especially in an era where everything is rated R. Cyberpunk 2077. Why do I need to customize my private parts?
Yep.
Me personally, I don't appreciate that sort of thing. I get it's a meme and it's funny, but I don't like that personally. I think it's really, really just kind of. I don't need that in a video game. So you've got this game that's super wholesome. The pastel colors are really, really nice. It's a beautiful, pretty game. I want them to do more with it though. More Animal Crossing stuff in 2021. And
I hate to say, I own it.
Yeah.
I own it, but never played it.
What?
Among Us.
It's great. It's amazing. So definitely something to pick up. It's on sale right now. So if you have a couple bucks, spend it. Do it. My number 1 game for 2020, and I might get some comments about this because technically it didn't release in 2020, but the finalized version of it did. Is Black Mesa. And I think that this is an incredible game. I play it over and over and over again. I've played it over and over since they've released the beta version of it. They finally finished it here in 2020, and I think it's a great remaster of a timeless game that put Valve on the map. And I think it's incredible what they've done with it, how they've revitalized it, given it a new face, given it a new kind of feel. Everything about it is just such a good experience, and it's what a first-person shooter is supposed to feel like.
Right.
It's got the puzzling aspect to it. It's got the funny aspects to it. It's got the I can do anything aspect to it. I mean, you can play that game in so many different ways, whatever style you want. You can meme it, you can speedrun it, you can do so much stuff with this game, and it's beautiful, and it's what gaming really is all about, is this fascinating, story-driven experience that makes you actually feel something, that makes you actually want to play it again. I mean, Half-Life, we talk about this game still to this day.
Of course.
It pushed first-person shooters in a big way. I mean, you had Doom, which pushed first-person shooters, but when it came to 3D first-person shooters that had a story, it was Half-Life. And again, it put Valve on the map. So, I mean, yeah, it's got to be my number 1 game. It's got to be.
And meanwhile, Half-Life 3 was done as a VR experience. How do you feel about that?
I've watched the gameplay. I think it being from the perspective of Alex, I think it kind of took away from Gordon Freeman. I get why they did it, though. I don't know about it being in VR, though. I don't know them pushing the VR aspect of it, especially when VR is not as accessible. Me being poor, I can't get a VR set.
Imagine if Nintendo said, "Hey, guess what, guys? The new Super Mario that we're going to come out with is going to be in. You can only play it with the Nintendo Labo."
Yeah.
God.
The Labo, especially the whole their version of VR is absolutely atrocious. So I mean that's that. But I think that them pushing the VR thing, it hurt them. It hurt that community, and it hurt the accessibility of Half-Life Alyx. So I don't know how to feel about it. I haven't been able to play it, and I want to play it as it's intended to be played in the VR realm. I don't have a whole lot of fun, so I can't get that. But I think it was an interesting take. I think it was good for Valve to put out something, especially after years and years and years of nothing in that aspect.
Right.
But yeah, I think I think Valve is moving in the right direction. I think that they're a couple of years ahead of the curve though, as far as that goes, and pushing a main title onto VR.
That's fair.
So
I agree.
But good. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, a lot of cool stuff coming up for the new year for the Gaming Dads podcast. Just to kind of update everybody. We've got some things in the works. We're going to be adding some new things, adding some new sections. We've been keeping the podcast around an hour. I think people have been happier with that.
Yep.
I was looking back at our old podcast. One of them was almost 2 hours. I'm like, holy crap, we could talk a lot.
Yeah, we are very long-winded individuals.
But, you know, that's the thing. We got a lot of good things coming up. A lot of new experiences. So I think 2021 is going to be the Gaming Dads podcast year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's going to be the thing. We'll be... I only want to tease it. I'm not going to, you know, go full force out there, but adding on a couple of different platforms, giving individuals multiple avenues to be able to listen to the podcast, kind of formalizing some things, some new technologies that we'll be delving into here in the next couple of months. So remember, if you have suggestions, put them down in the comments. I read every comment. I read every suggestion, every message, everything. You know, one of the suggestions, actually, we'll be adding it to next week's topic that we received last week. But I don't know, just a lot of really, really good stuff coming.
Yeah, make sure to check out the links. I know we had some problems with the last podcast. It is up, though. We will for sure have this one on Monday without a doubt. I will make sure that it's up on Monday, properly uploaded. We had some problems, technically speaking, for last week's podcast. Go check that one out if you haven't already, but make sure to check out the links in the description. I know, Tharoah, you're big on Twitch. I'm doing Twitch a little bit more here and there. We got the Facebook. We've got our Twitter. Yep. You know, that sort of thing. So make sure to check all that stuff out. But I think that's going to be it for us. Anything else?
Nope, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. And as always, good gaming.
Absolutely.